Okay, Joyce. Well, just tell me how everything went or came into play. I know that we talked about a meeting for our parents. We were having issues with one of our families and the whole big bug thing. So we were trying to find out about having something to provide their needs and also to give them information. So talk about how all this rolled out.
Alicia and I have been discussing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
Although JBS does an orientation to schools,
Mm-hmm.
we felt that something was lacking. And even though they give an orientation and we gave an orientation on Monday, we will give another orientation to the same group of people again. Part of it is because each time we do it, they keep hearing it, and a little more sinks in, a little more sinks in. And when you're working with people from other cultures, sometimes it is just getting them to accept where they are before they'll listen to you. So even though they were here on Monday, they probably only took one or two items of information out with them. They were very excited about the clothing and the coats, but we still need to address behavior in a classroom and behavior on the bus and what parents' rights are and what parents' responsibilities are. We talk to them about it, but when no one asks a question, it tells me that what they heard was what they heard, even though it was in their language, and it'll have to be done again.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you'll probably see us do for the next couple of years, should we survive the next couple of years intact, is to bring in each group of new refugees
Mm-hmm.
and work with them, because of what they hear at the refugee resettlement centers before they board the planes is a very quick overview of this is a stove, this is a toilet, this is school, this is whatever. When they get here, they're put into another orientation and it says, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. It is one thing to lecture, it is another to have them do it. So you will see the next orientation be more focused on them going to the school and actually participating as opposed to sitting and listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that we will do school by school. When students are enrolled in the school, their families will put them on the buses, then we'll take them to that school with the interpreters available, walk them through the school. This is the teacher, this is the classroom, this is the cafeteria, this is the bathroom. This is how we walk down the halls, this is how we board the buses. This is the reason you need to be at the end when your child gets off the bus.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we go through the cafeteria line. This is how the food is served. This is how the children know what's being fed them, which is a huge concern for a lot of our families.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just Muslim families. A lot of families want the children to eat their traditional foods so that they keep their culture and they remain intact as a family instead of being so fragmented.
Okay. So talk about how schools welcome their immigrant families. Now, I know we did a lot as a department to welcome our families in and make them feel a part of the district and give them some background information on, just little tidbits of what they need to know initially. But we talked the other day about how schools welcome families, and the fact that you're talking about the food and the culture, all the food that's fed has nothing to do with any of their cultures. So how do you think schools welcome families at all? Do you think they do?
I don't think they do.
Mm-hmm.
In the Kansas City Public Schools, we do not have any cultural training for new teachers, old teachers. There's nothing to introduce you to the cultures that you will find in your school.
Mm-hmm.
There is no staff development on are you aware? It would be like the teacher that comes up and with our Burmese students touches the shoulder, the hand, the head, the neck. Those are all considered taboo, and you never hand a child something with your left hand.
Mm-hmm.
It is considered an insult. But yet, with other Asian cultures, you hand with both hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because to hand with one means that you are higher ranking than they are, which can be an insult as well. We don't know what occupation these people are.
Mm-hmm.
To be more accepting in the schools, I think we're going to have to do a lot more hands-on and having the opportunity to work within the schools, and also having the opportunity to work with the principal and train the principal. If the principal is not comfortable with this being in a school, either we need to move the program or we need to move the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the principal is not comfortable, the staff is not going to be comfortable. And that includes the secretary, the janitors, the teachers, everybody in the school has to be on board with what's in the school, or our students will be treated poorly and will feel like they can't go to the school and talk to the school, which is why a lot of them come here. When they need help, they don't go to the school, they come here. And we would like to see that change, not because I don't want to see the children and their families, but because I want them to understand that their first line of defense is that principal, and that they can trust the principal. And I would like to see us develop as a community, not only a school community, but a community in which the children feel safe to go to school and get on the bus. If the family is having needs, then the school knows the family is having needs. A bigger network than what we can provide as a department.
Okay. Well, when you walk into schools now, what is your initial reaction? Say, for example, at Longfellow, I've noticed that the elementary schools seem to have a more welcoming atmosphere than the high schools. But considering the fact that one of our high schools has 56% ELLs, when you walk into school, mostly bare walls or the mascot.
I think that comes from prior administrations dictating exactly how things were going to be placed on walls. Everybody was to look the same, but yet all of our schools are not the same. When you look at Northeast, which is about 25%, I'll say language minority as opposed to ELL. And then you go to East, which is 60 to 65% language minority. The climate within the schools should be totally different. And you should recognize the culture that's being brought, the enrichment that can be gained of all the students by experiencing and participating in the cultural events and the diversity that's available. A lot of things that are being discussed now are the diversity in companies and the ability to be able to work with other companies in a global market. If you are not capable of working in a global market, you are not employable. And big companies are now looking for global employees. They're not looking for the person to sit behind a desk in Kansas City anymore. They're looking for the person that can go from Kansas City to London, to Tokyo, to Sao Paulo, to Taiwan. They're not looking for you to be pushing a pencil. It is something that has to be addressed because the technology has now made us one world instead of all of us each in isolation.
I was really impressed by the interpreters on Monday and just how everything manifested. It looked like we had planned this for months, and in actuality, we only planned for a couple of weeks.
Not even a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know. And then also, we ran into a little monkey wrench with picking parents up, and you went over and above to make sure the parents got here. And do you think that that's a problem with parents going to schools because there's no transportation or there's no effort on the part of the school to make sure the parents get there?
When you look at the schools, especially in the Northeast area, which is where the concentration of immigrants is, the schools are very far from where they live. To go to Garfield School, you can be 2-3 miles from school. Yes, there is a bus, there is a city bus that runs, but you have to know how to ride that bus, how to get on that bus. You have to either have a pass or you have to have money, and they don't always have that. And once they get to the school, it may not be convenient time for them to be there, but it may be the only time that they have. Parents are afraid. If I picked you up and put you in the middle of Thailand in a house that you had no idea what to do with smells and language and customs and culture and vehicles that drove on sidewalks and animals that pulled carts. Would you come out of your house?
No. No, not at all. I would be quite afraid.
For us to send a bus to pick up parents, yes, that's terrific, but unless somebody goes and knocks on the door and they know who that person is, no, they're not going to come out. No, they're not going to go to that school. They're afraid. In their culture, they may have sent their child to school, and when the child got to school, it was the school's responsibility to provide for everything else, and the parent did not have a responsibility. So now all of a sudden they're told, guess what? You're a partner. Well, what does that mean? I don't understand that role. What is it that you expect me to do? I don't speak your language. When I go to the school, there isn't someone to speak to me. I don't want to do that. I'm scared. I don't have a job. I don't have a position. I don't have a title. I just want to stay in my house. So for us to go above and beyond, yes, Miss Patricia and Miss Anam went above and beyond because they got off the buses, they knocked on the doors, and when the people didn't come the first time, yes, I sent the buses right back because I wanted them to understand that they were important to me, and it was important that they be here. I'm going to send the bus again. Is it a great use of resources? No, it was wasteful. Is it a great way to gain trust and confidence from the parents? Yes.
And I think that our Iraqi parent summed it up quite nicely when he talked about us being one big family and us working out all our problems. I think he was very impressed by the fact that we gave him transportation, and also he was able to leave with items that he needed, or clothing, laundry detergent, lotions, anything that they needed. It was given to them, and they didn't have to give us anything in return. So if you look at his television interview, I think you'll be quite impressed at what he said, because it was very moving, and they actually ended on that. So
the gentleman wants help, but he wants to give something back in return for it. He is happy to be here. He is happy to feel that he is safer, and that he does have the ability to participate, and he has something to give. He would like to be able to do it. He wants to support his family. He wants to be successful. He wants everything that we want. He just needs a hand. And the gentleman, yes. My comment was that if you just go down the block, you've been around the world. And being up here, as you look out of 1211 McGee, or you look out of City Hall, you can see a whole new world that's right there. We have the ability to be our own United Nations and hear about the problems and what they see, what they hear, because they're looking with different eyes. We look at the same problem every day and we go, oh, this is what we need to do. But they look with a different background, and they call from a different culture, and they see things a little differently. And sometimes we need to hear from them. We don't need to say, well, now you're in America and this is the way it's done. Because sometimes in their country, they've already been through these, and they can pull from the vast resources they have. And we need to work as a family. And you're correct. The gentleman was very correct. And he has a lot of ideas that I would love to hear.
Hopefully we'll provide that venue for him.
We're working on it.
Yeah. We'll work on it together. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Troop.
You're welcome.
Okay.